Good evening. Have you ever thought about joining the military or serving your country? Did you know that you could do both and be a member of the National Guard at the same time? I'm Dustin Willis and would like to talk to you for about 7 minutes today about why you should join the National Guard. First, let's get into some benefits and perks of why you should join the military altogether. One perk of joining the military is for health insurance. According to TRICARE.com, the military has great health insurance and is covered for active duty troops at no cost to them. Another good benefit for being in the military is travel. Military members travel a lot and see different parts of the United States, and again at no cost to them. Another good thing about being in the military is for pay. The pay, according to DFAS.com, is very competitive compared to the civilian sector and is right on track depending on how many years you have in the military compared to the civilian world. Another good benefit is you get military discounts with being inside of the military. Also, another benefit for being in the military is college benefits, which we will discuss more in detail. Now that we have discussed some of the perks for being in the military, now let's discuss a little more about the National Guard and how the National Guard is different from the other branches of the military. So, according to Kennedy, the National Guard is the oldest military branch, going back to December 13, 1636. This is actually before there was a constitution signed. Normal people came together and rallied to protect their communities and form what is now known as the National Guard. So the National Guard is a reserve military force, which is not a full-time military, so it's part-time, or you've probably heard 1 weekend a month before. So the National Guard is a reserve military force similar to the Army Reserves. The National Guard is owned by both the state and the federal government, so they can be activated by the President of the United States, or they can be activated by the governor for whatever state or territory that is. There is also 54 states and territories that have a National Guard, according to federal. That's being the normal 50 states, and then you have Puerto Rico, you have District of Columbia, Guam, and the Virgin Islands. Is the 4 that make up the 54 states and territories that make up the National Guard. There's around about 350,000 soldiers in all the National Guards. In the Alabama National Guard, there's around about 12,000 soldiers in the National Guard. Also, the National Guard, according to Zibik, has fought in every major conflict that the United States has ever been a part of. So now that we have discussed what the National Guard is, let's talk about some ways that we're different and how it can benefit you in the future from enlisting to the National Guard. Because everyone has options when it comes to deciding which branch of the military that you join up in. But the National Guard is the branch that you want to join up in, especially if you plan on going to college. So now let's talk about some of those benefits. So first thing, the National Guard is you serve locally in your community being in the National Guard compared to the other branches of the military. So being in the Alabama National Guard, if a national disaster hits the state of Alabama, you would serve locally here in Alabama with your peers. Also going on deployments, you would be with your peers. A national disaster that's hit close to home here lately was Hurricane Katrina back in 2005. During this time frame, we had 4,000 soldiers from the local community that helped out from the state of Alabama, even in Louisiana, the neighboring state. Another national disaster is the Gulf oil spill that has happened about 2 years ago. The Alabama National Guard was also activated for that one. And then another one here recently was Hurricane Harvey, which happened in Houston, Texas. The whole Texas National Guard, which is the largest National Guard in the United States, was activated. So these are some good examples of some things close here at home to what the National Guard does and how we are different from the other branches. So college money. You have a lot more different options of college for the National Guard compared to the other military branches because we're both state and federally funded. So a lot of state programs, one the National Guard in Alabama just passed, which is called an ANGAP, Alabama National Guard Education Assistance Program, will pay $5,000 per semester for college tuition. And then on the federal side of the house, we have a program called Federal Tuition Assistance, which actually pays $4,000 per year at a cap of 16 semester hours per year for it. Enlistment bonuses in the National Guard. If you're fortunate enough to score over a 50 on the ASVAB, Joining up, you can get a $7,500 enlistment bonus to join the National Guard. Now, we're not going to write you a check for $7,500 the day you signed up, because you'll probably go to Panama City Beach and we'll never see you again. So we're going to pay you half of that bonus when you complete your training, and then the other half on increments down the road. So now that we have talked about some of the perks and benefits to why you would want to join the National Guard, let's talk about who can join the National Guard. Around 13 to 17% of the United States population, according to NationalGuard.com, actually qualifies to join the military at a certain given time. The first main disqualifier is age. You must at least be 17 years old and not older than 35 to join the National Guard. The next thing is physical conditions. Okay, you can't have asthma, you can't be on ADHD medication, you can't be overweight, underweight, or anything such as that to join the National Guard or the military in general. Tattoos. All right, if you get any tattoos that can be seen on your face, your neck, or your hands, that's something that's going to permanently disqualify you from serving in the military. Again, the ASVAB percentile-based test. Need a 31 or higher on the ASVAB to join. Education. If you quit high school, you must get a GED before you can join the National Guard. Moral convictions. If you have any kind of felonies or any kind of major drug charges, you're not going to qualify to join the National Guard. So, also on moral convictions, you probably need to contact your local recruiter to find out the exact details of if you do qualify to do something or not. So, in conclusion today we talked about some of the perks of why you should join the United States military. We talked a little bit about what is the National Guard. We talked about some of the benefits of the National Guard, and we talked about who could join the National Guard. So with this being said, I would like to thank you for your time today, and also feel free to contact me afterwards, and let's go ahead and sign those enlistment papers for an easy 6 years into the National Guard. All right, thank you, and have a good day.